Hey everybody, it's Amira and welcome back to my channel. I'm here to bring you the Take 5 art video for the month of February. So very excited. This month the themes are brought to us by the lovely Lucy from Lucy Oodle Doo. And I'm about to put the prompts up for you. Have a look. And if you'd love to have a play, we'd love you to. And we'd love you to tag us on Instagram. Now I'm going to get started straight away and I will talk about the deep meaning that this spread has for me as we go along. So this video will be a little bit of heart and a little bit of art. Wow. Very good. So I'm starting with this really thick cardstock. This is 300 GSM mixed media paper. I'm taping it down to the board. And I'm going to have a lovely border when I pull that tape off afterwards. And I really love that. That's really good art for me. Next, I'm reaching for this circular stencil. It's a really intricate design and I love it. Stencil is one of the prompts that Lucy has come up with this month. And I've chosen 2 stencils actually. So this is the first one. The stencil is going to represent the full moon. And the night before last, we had a beautiful full moon, which was, as it was rising on the eastern horizon, it was just as big as a big pizza. And it sort of inspired me, and I knew that I was going to do a full moon layout for this project. So I'm also reaching for my masking fluid. This stuff has been in my drawer for the last, 8 years. The stuff never goes off, so it's really cool. And because it's very sticky and gummy, I'm using a scrunched up Glad wrap, and it saves your brushes and it saves your fingers, and it's just a better way to apply. You have more control. All right, so on to some really exciting playing now. I'm trying to decide on what medium I'm going to use for my background. Because the theme of this month is celestial, or I guess I made the theme celestial. I wanted it to be a night sky. And so the first color that I thought of was Dina Wakley's Night. And I don't have that acrylic color, but I remembered that I had it in the scribble sticks. So I pulled out the sky, night, and a black from the scribble sticks. I also pulled out this color of marine from the acrylic paints, and I just want you to have a look at the difference in the blues. It's quite lovely. Marine has a lovely kind of like greenish blue, as you would expect from the name like marine. So here I am just going to play and splatter and have a glorious messy time. I am not really worried about like a perfect sky. I swear that watercolor is my absolute favorite thing in the whole world. And when I don't try to concentrate on a perfect outcome, I make the most amazing backgrounds. So I really gave myself permission to just play. Watch as I play along here. My aim was to just mix colors so that you could see the colors like on their own, but that there was a lovely transition in the middle. There were no hard edges. I caught myself a couple of times concentrating on some areas and not blending the edges. And so you'll see that some areas have harsh or like sharp lines, but that also doesn't matter because it's quite organic and that's just how it flowed. And I tried to do it so that the lighter blue was on the inside of the moon and then the deeper colors were out towards the outside. So I'm just going to be quiet now and just watch me make this beautiful splattery mess of a celestial sky, and I'll see you on the other side. my painting is dry, and by dry I mean it is not cool to touch, it's just totally dry. I'm using the back of my pencil here. I've got a little eraser at the back, and I'm just pulling off the sticky masking fluid. Be careful here because you can pull your paper. Even though this is thick paper, you can see here exactly how it's pulled the paper away. So just be careful here. And I'm just kind of making it more of like a rounded shape. So I'm back to the stencil here, and what I originally wanted to do was just create a little bit of a design in the moon. The other night when I was actually looking at the moon, you can see so many things in there. I saw faces, I saw animals, I saw landforms. So I just wanted to create some kind of design, and I'm using my Dina Wakley gesso here, and this is like a beautiful heavier body gesso than what I normally have, and I'm just showing you here that I'm just covering where the tear was with the gesso, and yeah, letting that dry. I'm pulling a second stencil here, and I'm using my ink gold now. My ink gold I've had like perhaps for like a couple of years now, so maybe 2-3 years. The stuff is dry, but you can still get a little bit of gold out, and I used my fingers and it came out, and I tried to rub my finger through the stencil and it kind of hurt my skin, so I'm using like this just dry brush and doing a little bit of stencil there with the gold star. So Inca Gold through a star stencil, and that looks really good, and it looks multi-layered, and I love how that turned out. So next is just adding a little bit of color into the moon. I've chosen the yellow scribble stick, and I'm just adding a little bit of yellow to make a nice full yellow moon. I'm taking out some of the intensity of the color so you can see the design of the stencil, and then because the moon is not really all yellow, I grabbed some of my white paint, and I'm just going to sort of do a beautiful kind of blended yellow and white moon. This is kind of an intuitive process, and I just kind of had a little bit of a play. And to give the moon a little bit of a depth, I went back for my night scribble stick and just added a little bit of blue in the center and kind of around the edges, kind of reflecting the space around it into the moon. I love how that looks. Okay, so here we go. This is kind of the imagery that I wanted to present. So I've got a tissue here, and I've removed the 2-ply from one another using some sticky tape. I've got some Mod Podge there, and I've kind of made it so that I've folded the napkin in kind of diagonally. And what I'm going for here is a cliff. So you can see it comes to a peak right underneath the bottom of the moon, and I'm just getting some Mod Podge in. This is to satisfy the prompt of a textured background. Although this is not really the textured background, this will be the textured element in my painting, in my art. So I love how this is slowly forming. So I'm just making sure that the tissue is folding on itself and creating a really beautiful texture. So next what I'm doing is I'm grabbing some colors that represent rocks and cliff faces. I've got yellow oxide, raw umber, and raw sienna as well. And here I'm just playing and creating a cliff face. Never done that before. I know that it's multicolored and beautiful, and I just really wanted to capture the beauty of rockery. Can you believe it? I really enjoyed the depth here. After the Mod Podge dried on top of the tissue, it just created wrinkles and bumps and valleys, and wow, I just really loved this. And so I started off by using a light color which was the yellow oxide, and then I added just a little bit of mid-tone, which was the raw sienna, and then I added the burnt umber in areas, and then I did go in later on with some gold just to bring up up and add more gold, which is one of the prompts. But I truly, truly enjoyed this. I loved this element. Really humbling as well to just see how amazing rocks are formed. I added a little bit of purple, didn't really work. I added a little bit of red, and this was the touch that I needed. It just kind of worked really well with the brown, and yeah, super, super pleased with how this turned out. All right, so I'm bringing in my 000 sable, and this needs a very fine touch, and I've got some black paint there as well. So on the edge of the cliff, and I'm trying so hard here to bring my camera down to macro level. I hope you sort of see what I'm doing. I'm trying to make it so that there's a figure sitting on the edge. My camera starts to, as I'm working, come in and out, so please pardon me, but it will fix in a moment when I take my hand away. So the story is a little girl or a lady or somebody who's been trekking up that cliff face for the longest time, and she kind of just makes it to the edge, and she just sits there and looks at the wonder that is all around her. So I'm trying to capture this beautiful image of a woman with a backpack on her back, and she has reached the goal, her end goal. She wanted to make it up the mountain, and once she got there, she sat down to contemplate and think about the whole journey of getting there. And where she's sitting, she is glorious, magnificent. She is sitting in wonder. She's sitting amongst nature with the full moon, in a galaxy star. Just this imagery is just so special to me. So I just love how this turned out. I am now on to the quote section of the prompts, and I've chosen a beautiful quote here by Nancy Levine, and it says, "Honor the space between no longer and not yet." And this quote means everything to me at the moment, because I am going through a beautiful transition. I am shifting my career, and I am setting up my own business to become a family transition coach. So this quote pretty much embodies everything I do and the kind of clients that I see. We're talking about transition here. We're talking about people who transition from teenage to adulthood. We're talking about people who transition from being single to being married. We're talking about people who transition from being couples to being parents. We're talking about people who transition from losing one job to another. We're talking about people who transition from health to ill health back to health. We're talking about transitioning from this world to the next. Really, my clients can be anybody at any stage of their life, because life is all about transition. Life is always changing. Things never stay the same. And when you're feeling stuck, it means that the world is moving on and you're refusing to move along with it. So you are experiencing discomfort. And this is where I come in. I come in to help you discover your values, shift your mindset, and help you get unstuck and back into living your life the best way you know how to. In coaching, we talk about the client being whole and able, as opposed to in counseling or psychology, where people see the client as broken and needing to be fixed. And I really believe that we all have the answers inside us. We just need people who support us and inspire us and champion us. So I am really looking forward to the next stage of setting up my business as a family transition coach. If you guys follow me on Facebook, you'll know that at times I refer to my other Instagram account, which is AmiraInOz Consulting. You guys are more than welcome to join me there. I am starting to open up my appointment book for clients, and I am going to start doing a few pro bono sessions just to give back to the world and to give back to those who can't afford it at this stage of their life. I think that we do have to give in order to grow and to find ourselves. So you're more than welcome to contact me I am happy to support and inspire you and journey with you on this journey of life. Okay, so back to the art. I am now moving on to the next prompt, which, well, really, it's supposed to be celestial vibe, back to the first prompt. And I decided to add just a little bit of gold stars. I also decided to add the silver sequins because I felt like they could represent other planets far off in the distance. And I just love the texture. This adds to sort of all of the prompts. It adds to a textured background. It adds to the celestial vibe prompt. It adds to the more gold prompt. So really, I'm just totally digging this layout. And I love these prompts. And thank you, Lucy. You bring out the best in me always and always. So now I'm moving on to the last prompt, which is gold, 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 gold. And I'm splattering some gold watered down paint and creating even more of a 3D galaxy in the background there. Love the gold of the stencil, love the gold of the sequins, love the gold of the splatter, love the gold in the rocks, love the gold in the moon. Is that enough gold for you, Lucy? I think it's a lot of gold. And just for a little bit more shine and probably a little bit more bling, not so much gold, I'm adding some glitter to the moon. So this is my layout for February Take 5 art. I hope you enjoyed watching me make this. I definitely enjoyed making it. Thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. And if you do choose to play along with the prompts this month, please don't forget to use the hashtag Take5Art. Please tag me on Instagram and tag any of the other girls on Instagram. Please hop on over. There's a list down below in the description box of all the ladies who are participating. I just can't wait to go and see how they interpreted the prompts for this month. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in my next video.